So, and that's part of my personality, maybe not a bad thing, but also not good when you're trying to be a social media manager. So it wasn't really going to work for me to be able to do that for people.
Would someone have hired you and said, can you please manage my Facebook page? And you would have said yes, but not said, oh yeah, but that's going to be 10 hours a month. You would have said, yes, I will just manage it. And then...
Yeah, I had a price. It was way too low.
Yeah.
and I did one for one company. It was just a particular campaign that was to last 4 months. And I felt I was charging them a huge amount of money. But when I look back at it now, for the work I did, it was tiny. So I was on it every single day for at least an hour a day for that campaign.
Wow. Yeah.
So yeah, it's not really suitable to my personality to do that because I just do get carried away.
Yes.
And you've only got a certain number of hours in the day.
Yeah. And I used to see a picture saying, everyone's got the same amount of hours a day as Beyonce. And then someone pointed out to me, yes, but Louise, she's got an entire team of staff. It's not quite the same thing. So in terms of doing the strategy piece then, so if someone came to work with you, you help them develop their strategy and then you move on. Is that what you mean?
So people would work with me for 6 months minimum. And usually after 6 months, people would want to stay on a little bit longer as well, because obviously what we do works. We start off by, I would do an audit of everything they're doing. Then we'd start with that. We'd set ourselves some projects for the time we're going to work together. We work through those, making sure they get implemented, all again with that in mind that we need to look, this is doing really well. You're making loads of sales from Facebook. So stop spending time on LinkedIn and let's look at what more we can do. Sorry, the other way around for you, Louise.
No, that's okay. You focus on that and I'll focus on LinkedIn.
So that might be, we find out that all the valuable traffic they're getting is coming from Facebook. So it's not a case of never doing LinkedIn again, but it's to keep your focus on the thing that's working and improve that. So we were talking before we started about my Facebook live show that I do every Friday.
Yes.
So just using myself as an example, I found actually 2 interesting things when I audited myself. Firstly, that every client who I get that comes to me ready, they just decided already they want to work with me, is a viewer of my LinkedIn live show. Every single one.
Yes.
So as soon as I discovered that, I went all in on LinkedIn Live, Facebook Live show. I wish. I have envy. So I've gone all in on that. So I'm constantly trying to improve that and push it out to more people and repurposing it and just making sure more and more people see that, because obviously that increases inquiries. And so that's kind of top of the funnel, because obviously you don't just see the Facebook Live and hire me immediately.
Yes.
Just getting them in at the top of the funnel. Interestingly, I found the bottom of the funnel, and this does work for you, is LinkedIn. So I get a lot of inquiries from LinkedIn without doing much, which is why I was with you recently doing a course with you on LinkedIn so that I could improve that, because that's my other end of the funnel. So that's my 2 social networks that I work hard on. That doesn't mean I hardly touch Instagram at all, because it takes so much time to, I enjoy it too much, I think.
Yeah, I think that for Instagram to work, honestly, for any business, you have to be on there every day. And if you're doing Instagram stories, you have to be doing stories throughout the day. And it's too tiny.
But I have someone I work with who they've got a really incredible Facebook page already, but they're really pushing on the Instagram thing and they're seeing really good results. But it's not one of those things where they're just dropping in and posting once a day or even thinking about just putting a story up every day. They've got a really strong strategy going. So I couldn't do that and the live and look at LinkedIn. I have to be more selective.
Absolutely not. Amanda, for people who are listening who don't really get the concept of the funnel, you're saying the top of the funnel and the bottom of the funnel. Just explain that a little bit more, because I have listeners from across the whole board.
So the top of the funnel is, I suppose, if people don't know about you, they're never going to buy from you. So top of the funnel is where people would first hear about your business. Yeah. Or first engage with your business. They're the people, they're nowhere near ready to buy yet. It's awareness. You're getting people to know who you are and what you do.
Yes.
And the bottom of the funnel, we'll talk about the middle. The middle is when they're more engaged and they're at the consideration phase.
Yes.
So they know what you do and now they're considering maybe buying from you.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And the bottom of the funnel is when they actually buy. So that's where LinkedIn, people message me on LinkedIn to set up a meeting.
Yes.
So that's my bottom of the funnel.
Yeah.
In the middle of the funnel, that's a little bit grey for me. Yeah, I'm still working on that. You know, what is a consideration phase? But usually I get that jump straight through from people who see my Facebook Live and message me on LinkedIn. It's really strange. It happens across the two networks, but it works.
Yeah, that is funny. So in terms of your, I'm saying LinkedIn Live, Facebook Live every Friday. So what does that look like? And anyone who's listening, go and watch Amanda on her Facebook Lives because it's very valuable information. But you tell us, Amanda.
I suppose firstly, if you do watch it, I've been doing this for 4 years. And I've been improving it for 4 years. So it's not just something I went into because people go, oh, I want to be like you on camera. And it's kind of, I've done video before that, but live is a different thing, really. So I've been doing it for 4 years. It's a news show. So we talk about the social media and digital marketing news for small business. And I have 7 segments deliberately because I like to repurpose those into smaller segments that I put out during the week. And they'd be the 7 top stories that I find for that week. The ones that I think will affect businesses most. So maybe there's something that Twitter or Facebook has done.
Yeah.
And
like
it's
a new
just,
feature or
but it might just be for consumers and I can't really see how that's going to benefit them. So that would go to the bottom of my editorial list.
Okay.
Sometimes an 8th story does creep in if I just can't choose, but it's supposed to be 7. Or this week, Facebook released 2 new apps, which neither of them are business related really, but I made a brief mention of them. But that made the cut, whereas there are other stories that were just too small that had nothing to do with business that went. And then I kind of look at each story and how you would, what the benefits of that story are really for business. So I try and frame it that way. Between each segment, then I'll answer questions that come up. So I get lots of comments on the Facebook Live, which is great. So I get to, that's it. I really get to communicate with my audience and I get to know them over time. So they may join my
regular people showing up.
Yeah, exactly. So that's nice. And then I have a little trailer between each segment, which gives me breathing time to remember what I'm supposed to say next.
How long
that's
does
my
this
secret.
Last?
It's half an hour, the full show, and it edits down to between 15 and 20 minutes so I do a YouTube version without all the Facebook Live bits in, if you know what I mean.
Yes. Oh my goodness. So how many people do you think watch it every week?
So I get, it's, you know, the way Facebook, you can't really tell. So last week, I know that my ads, I spent a €10 a week spent on ads to promote the show. So I know the people that watched it through ads, that 35 people watched it all the way through for a tenner.
Wow. Yeah.
And then I would have, so today I think I had 10 people on live. So they watched it pretty much from beginning to end. One week I had like something like 25 people on live. It varies, but probably around 7, 8 to 10 live. But then there are people who come in and watch on replay and leave their comments on replay. So I know they were there.
Yes. I think I see you most on Twitter with it, actually.
It's actually Twitter. So I cut that down into 7 segments. So just each story has its own segment and I share it each day on Twitter. And that's because Twitter isn't one of my networks. I just threw it up there as a, you know, I may as well put it up there. I've got it. And actually it's doing really well on Twitter. Those little news segments, they seem to capture people's attention really well. So
maybe we all need a bit of distraction on Twitter at the minute. Maybe that's why.
I was really surprised. I mean, I do love Twitter and I've been using it since, I don't know, as long as I've been on social media, as long as I've been on Facebook.
Yes.
Just I have no strategy for it. I just kind of throw things up there. And if I'm in a chatty mood, I'll go on and have a chat. And if I'm not in a chatty mood, just my scheduled content pops
It's really funny because I'm kind of the same about Twitter. I love Twitter. I really love it. At the minute, with everything that's going on in the world, I find it's quite heated. With lots
I don't see that. Well, I think I must just be following the best group of people ever because I never seem to see that conflict.
Oh gosh, no. I'm following outside of my working life. I really love politics, so I follow people and then I unfollow them and then I follow them again. And I follow a lot of journalists and just the stuff that goes on. It's just so fascinating. But I'm very wary of Twitter as well, in that I would never post anything that would attract the kind of attention you don't want.
Yeah. It can be hard to avoid that as well. It's like you can do something by accident. I think that they are getting better at dealing with stuff like that. But anyway, Facebook for me is the one where I see all the politics that I hate. So
That's so funny.
Constantly on the hide button.
Yes. Oh, I'm hiding people left, right and centre on Facebook. It'd be really funny if they just one day either just took all the people that you've hidden away because you obviously don't want to see them, or exposed us to everybody. Oh dear, that's a bit embarrassing actually. You said there's 2 new apps on Facebook. What are they?
So these are the independent apps. Facebook set up this, I think it's like called Facebook Labs or something like that. It's got a fancier name than that, where it's almost like they're testing features.
Okay.
So they'll release a new app and they'll see if it works. If it doesn't work, they get rid of it pretty quickly. So these 2 new apps, the first one is actually open for everyone and it's called Catch Up, and it's basically, I don't get it. It's voice messaging. So voice message, you can have a group voice message. So everyone who signs up, you'll be able to see when they're online to have a phone call with, basically via the app. You can use it for one-to-one. Kind of like WhatsApp does this already. This is why I'm confused.
Yeah.
Are kids using voicemail now or voice calls now? Is this a thing? Is this why they've developed it? I'm wondering.
Well, I've got 3 kids who 2 of whom use WhatsApp. And they are just texting constantly, but it's really funny because they're at home for their homeschooling at the moment. So yeah, they're using WhatsApp to connect with their friends. You know, I've said, why don't you phone your friends and speak to them, or like have a chat on your phone while you're doing your homework? But no, it's so interesting because when we were kids, it was, I don't know, did I phone people? I think I would have phoned somebody rather than text them, but we didn't have that option.
You didn't have text. Yeah. I was comparing it to last week. I watched Nightmare on Elm Street, which I first saw when I was 15.
Oh my goodness.
And when I was into heavy metal and starting up my radio. And they're all like, it's all based around, they all have phones in their rooms. I never had a phone in my room, but I was going, oh yeah, I must have done that because I hate talking on the phone.
Yes.
I must have done that.
I actually don't really like talking on the phone. I don't know. I suppose maybe is it speed and convenience? I don't know. You get on the phone with somebody and it can be on for 45 minutes. Whereas that's
why I'm thinking it's for kids, but I don't know. Maybe it's a way for people to communicate now. Maybe it's an app about people communicating when they're remote from each other. Maybe it's more suitable for an older generation who are more used to having phone calls rather than these video calls, which they're totally like... A lot of people are just not, it's not that they're not comfortable with it. It's just such a leap in technology, maybe. I don't know.
Well, the other thing actually I'm thinking about, I remember when I did the whole program with Facebook, She Means Business, they actually said that a lot of the technology they were developing for Facebook was to do with getting into the African market. And you've got less
bandwidth.
And video and stuff. And actually, people do business on mobile phones and all their banking's on mobile phones. This was back when, this is years ago now. I know it's different now. But Facebook really wanted to be the platform that people used for their business, their transactions, their connections, their communications. So maybe it's something to do with that. And we're looking...
I think you've got it there. As soon as you said that, I went, yeah, that's why, because I know in India as well, WhatsApp has been massive way before it was big here, way before Facebook owned it in India for doing business. And I think for that reason as well, the connectivity isn't as good as we might have. So yeah, that must be it.
That's us sitting in our glass castles and thinking everything's about us when actually, they're developing software for people who use it completely differently.
So the second app makes sense because the second app is called Collab and it's in beta testing. You can apply to join and it's for musicians to create music together remotely.
Ooh.
Now, the only thing that's strange about this is it looks like it's 15-second clips. So your whole collaborative piece of music is going to be 15 seconds. But I could have got that wrong. They give you such a small amount of information. I could be misreading it that maybe you record 15 seconds at a time. So what happens is video. So you would record, you could even do it with yourself. So you could record all the parts yourself. You record the first 15 seconds and then you send it to whoever you're collaborating with. And then they can listen and play along. And there won't be the delay that you get on the likes of Zoom, which is the problem that people have been having. So then they record their 15 seconds and you can have like all the different instruments appearing on the screen, as they're being played. It looks amazing.
Gosh, sounds really interesting. It's not so my husband is looking for an app where he can listen to music together with his friend. So I think some sound like teenage boys. They're really, really into their music. And I said, I think Spotify does that. That he can have Spotify, you can have Spotify, you can both listen together and you can talk about whatever